let me start by acknowledging my dear sister, Cristina Duarte, Special Advisor for Africa and Undersecretary General for the UN, and Mr. Omar Sela, Regional Director for Africa at UN Habitat, and all distinguished representatives and experts. It's a pleasure to be with you today and to welcome you to this year's regional workshop on the voluntary, national, and local reviews, and to the 9th edition of the Africa Regional Forum on Sustainable Development. We meet this year at already a pivotal moment in a number of areas. In terms of taking stock of the progress toward regional and global sustainable development commitments. This year, 2023, represents the midpoint toward the Global 2030 Agenda and the end of the first 10 years of implementation of the Regional Agenda 2063. And comes at a very historically unprecedented times in terms of globally what has been happening and the shocks, the tsunami of global shocks that the continent has faced, and the change in the landscape of financing, having a new norm of financing where it's really a lot more challenging for developing and emerging countries to finance their development going forward. So I couldn't agree more with my sister Cristina on her comments regarding finance, that development can only be enabled through finance. And that brings an additional layer in terms of the importance of what we're looking at now in terms of the voluntary national and voluntary local reviews. Because it brings really an opportunity to see how can we really do much better first in utilizing the resources that we have and the efficiency of what we're doing, the targeting, and how can we learn from each other, which is a really important element. These voluntary national and local reviews really mobilize stakeholders to help countries and regions assess progress, take stock, what have we succeeded to do, and then identify the challenges of what is holding us back and how can we move forward. What these VNRs and VLRs are revealing now is that there is a concerted refocus on our sustainable development goals that is much more needed now in order for the aspirations of the two agenda 2030 and 2063 to actually happen. And we have now seen the impacts firsthand of the pandemic and the war in Ukraine and how this has derailed really progress. Basically, we've seen very hard-won gains that many of countries and localities have managed to do kind of being lost due to these shocks. So that really puts the further pressure on policymakers and governments to see how, what can we do? How can we, have these gains more sustainable? How can it be more resilient when we face all these recurrent shocks? We have seen state budgets for social policy and environmental action and economic development being threatened by the tightening financial resources, just at a moment where they are ever more needed than before. We've seen issues of, because of these shocks, issues of rising inequality and extreme poverty increasing in many countries as a result. And amid all these challenges, we find these inspiring stories of African regions that have shown examples of adaptable and effective measures that have been taken toward these agendas, even amid all these challenges. And I think these are things that we should really be proud of and learn from these examples to have them as, serve as a catalytic for doing more for showing resilience and for learning from each other. Today we will delve into greater detail on these trends and, importantly, the responses to them at national and local levels, and sharing best practices and peer-to-peer dialogues has revealed as one of the key added values of this workshop that it's really, the process of engaging all these stakeholders. We learn a lot more. We learn what works, what doesn't work, and how we can get buy-in across the board for what needs to be done, and appropriately identify the challenges that need to be overcome. I'd like to congratulate the 7 countries that have been undertaking VNRs in 2023. And for all 7 countries, this will be the second review, which provides an important opportunity to reflect on implementation of goals that have been laid out in the first VNR. We also congratulate the cities and municipalities across continent that are undertaking local reviews, and VLRs are a powerful grassroots tool to promote sustainable development. ECA has been pleased to continue to support VLRs across the region, harnessing regional VLR guidelines developed in cooperation with UN Habitat and UN cities and local governments of Africa, with a mandate given by member states in the 6th Africa Regional Forum for Sustainable Development in 2020. Your reflections on VNR and VLR processes will be critical to help us move forward and to collectively identify how we can push our sustainable development forward. As usual, we will count on your engagement with one another and your critical feedback. I wish you a very successful deliberations and a fruitful discussion. Thank you.